I just feel like my role with the Pacers, being the captain, that I enjoyed every moment of it, and it was just great bringing all the guys together. And the bottom line, I say again, that was my team.
Billy Killer, 5'10", 180 out of Purdue, was the spark plug of the Pacer teams. Keller had a keen eye for gunning the three-point home runs and is the all-time Pacer leader in that regard and in attempts made. Keller led the Pacers in free throw percentage and ranks in the top 4 in Pacer career assists doled out.
I think my role was to be a floor general. I guess that's the term that I received coming in, was to handle the ball, to make things happen, to be a penetrating guard, to kick it off to the guys that were our shooters, guys like Freddie Lewis and Roger Brown, and getting the ball inside to Neto and to Mel. And then as time went on, I became more and more of a shooter myself.
Rick Mount, 6'4", 185 out of Purdue, was one of the finest shooting guards ever to come out of the Big Ten. He played 2 seasons for the Pacers before moving on to the Kentucky Colonels, the Memphis Tams, and eventually the Utah Stars, where he had his better years. When one speaks of the Rocket from Lebanon, one thinks of one of the better pure shooters to have played the game.
I was made into more of a ball handling guard, and which my strength was shooting the basketball. Coming out of high school and college, I might have been one of the, a lot of people consider me the greatest shooter to come out. Al McGuire, people like that. But I scored about 12 points a game, and I think in my second year when I started, almost the whole year, I ended up scoring about 17 a game. It was more to get it inside, and if the guy 2 times, to kick it back out, things like that, and bring the ball up and try to get it inside, which was a new role for me because. In high school and college, I was the guy that was getting the ball, the first option and things like that, and it was hard to adjust.
Coach, some would say that the ABA was underestimated and never given its just due in the history of basketball. What are your thoughts on this?
We just didn't get, Rick, we just did not get, they wanted to battle us all the way. We didn't get the media coverage, the television, and all the things that they get today in the NBA.
But you and I know better.
Boy, I sure do. I've been around this game for a long, long time. I was an NBA player. I was an NBA coach before I ever came to the Pacers. I was a head coach in the NBA when I was 29 years old. So I've seen everything that's come up and down the pike for the last 30, 35 years, including Chamberlain and when he started, Bill Russell and Cousy and all the great ones back there that I played against, and all the way up to today. So I know how good the ABA was.
For that one decade when the ABA, the few teams in the ABA that joined the NBA, it was the super players from that ABA league who really began to dominate NBA basketball for an entire decade. So I think over the course of time it proved itself that I think the ABA was in fact just as good, if not a better league than the NBA.
If you look at most of the superstars of the NBA, I mean, in the past 10 years, well, where did they come from? Came from the ABA. Dr. J, Moses Malone, Dan Issel, Artis Gilmore, George Gervin, Billy Knight, George McGinnis. I mean, you can go on until, but they all came from the ABA. So it wasn't as if the ABA players came from another planet. I mean, all the players in all the way back in Oscar's day. All right, I played against Oscar before I ever came over to Indiana. As a matter of fact, he was the reason why I even came to Indiana, because he was the one that told the Pacers about me over in Dayton. So there wasn't really any difference. It was because the media wanted to make a difference out of it, and I guess that made for much more interesting reading. But you know, the players are the same. Players are the same, if not. I guess you could say the ABA had better players. You could say that.
The NBA before the ABA and the ABA merged, it was like a real boring game. People didn't, you know, it was a father, you know, league, but people wanted excitement. And the ABA had the excitement. They had the exciting ball players that would just run and dunking and everything. In the average NBA game at this time, they would have 2, 3, maybe 4 dunks a whole game. It was kind of boring. But in the ABA, the guys was dunking like 25 to 30 times a game. So this is what the people wanted to see. So what happened was when the two leagues merged, the guys from the ABA were so exciting that they made the older guys in the NBA, either you become exciting like we are, or you're going to have to get out of the game. We're going to push you right out of the game. And this is what I see happen when the two leagues merged, because the guys came over and the NBA just became the game it is today. It's like they say on TV, it's fantastic, and that's, to sum it up, that's what the ABA did for the NBA.
We've had a lot of innovations that they laughed at. Three-point play, of course, nobody uses that anymore. And they all made fun of that. We had the red, white, and blue ball, which I like. I still like. I still think it's the greatest thing to play with. You can see it better. You can shoot it. You can watch it rotate. And I think maybe someday they might even go to that. I don't know. But I think what the ABA did also is they gave a lot of guys a chance to play that were talented, that weren't out there, that the NBA didn't have that many teams. And towards the end, as you well know, the ABA had most of the great players.
We were always under pressure of that cloud of not being as good. But if people go back and look at the records, they'll see that Dan Issel, Julius Erving, Artis Gilmore, the people who played in the NBA, from the ABA, made a significant contribution. I mean, big time. George Gervin, Moses Malone. You look at their names, they're in the tops of rebounding and scoring. So I think it's a farce, and nobody's ever apologized for calling us a weakling, that they should think that we weren't as good or talented as the guys in the NBA.
The ABA gave the game of basketball some excitement with the three-point line, which now the high schools are using, the NBA is now using, the girls are using at the high school level, the college level, both men and women are using the three-point shot. So I think that was a very positive trademark that the ABA was able to give to basketball in general. And I think also the red, white, and blue ball, I think, was exciting for the fans to watch, because when it was red, white, and blue, it stood out to be something of great importance. And of course now with an orange basketball or a dark brown basketball, it goes somewhat unnoticed. It's just a part of the game, where I think the basketball that the ABA used was a ball that really meant something.
Coach, if the game was on the line and you needed a basket, had to have a basket, who would you go to? Would it be Roger Brown?
Oh, it was Roger Brown. He's one of the great one-on-one players that I've ever seen. And, you know, I can say that with some authority, because probably in my own playing career, I played 5 years with Elgin Baylor, who is one of the all-time greats and a great one-on-one player. And Roger Brown had every bit the ability one-on-one to beat people that Elgin Baylor had.
Roger. Now, here's a guy that I mean, he was like a brother to me also. One of the best talents that you ever want to see. Right now today, when people describe the Michael Jordans, the Julius Ervings, the Rick Barrys, now Roger was one. He was one of the forwards that I enjoyed with playing so much. I mean, my whole career, because he was a player. When I say a player, he did everything on the court.
Roger was, I mean, you can give Roger the ball when you need a basket. He'd get over there and shake and bake a little on him right at the end and put the ball in and give him those little moves. He always said he was a money player. He always wanted to do it, and the money was on, he got it done. I remember, I remember one time, it was during a season, a little thing on Roger, and we was going to clear out for him. It was about 12, 15 seconds on the clock. We were down 1 point. We were going to clear out for him, let him operate, and if he got fouled or he operated. So Roger got fooling around over there, and he never got the shot off. and I always remember he said in the paper, he says, well, when the money's on, I'll get the shot off. But that's the only time he ever didn't get a shot off, and he let the clock run down and never did get it off. But he's always been, I always remember him being over there and making those off the dribble, fake left, go right, guys move one way and he's going the other way, and make the clutch bucket or the free throw at the end of the game.
At the end of the game, when we were down by 1 or 2 points, this is a play that we used, and it would work 99% of the time, and this was called Give It to Roger and Let's Drink Some Beer. This is after a timeout. Freddie Lewis would have the basketball here, Neto and I would set a double screen there. 2-man was out here. Roger would come down the floor and curl off of us. Freddie would hit him, take a juke step towards him, and come off a double here. There was a switch. I would roll or Neto would roll, but most of the time this was either a three-pointer, and if we were down by 1, it was all over because Roger would simply juke a guy and then simply beat him to the basket. And the game was curtains.